Tired of feeling tired? Done with diet culture? Overwhelmed by conflicting nutrition and fitness messages? Then join us, your hosts of the Nutrition Revolution podcast, as we take a deep dive into all things women's fitness and nutrition. I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Tabitha. And together we are debunking diet culture myths and giving you the tools you need to finally see the results you're looking for. It's time to revolutionize your nutrition and training.
Welcome back to another episode of your favorite nutrition podcast, the Nutrition Revolution podcast.
This is the best one.
It is, yeah. Today we're going to answer one of our listeners emailed us wanting to get more info about reading food labels and ingredient lists on foods and kind of like what to look for, what to try to avoid, and how to know if something is healthy versus a marketing scam, or marketing strategy, I guess I should say. So like quality control of your food. Yeah. And I love this because I feel like, and I know you're going to agree, Kimberly, you can't improve your health, improve the quality of your nutrition without looking at ingredients and nutrition facts labels. Like, you have to take the time to do that. So if you're not willing to do that, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to build a healthier diet and lifestyle. But if you are, you'll, and I always tell my clients too, like, initially it is work. Yeah. It's something else to do.
But then
it takes time.
You find your groove and you find your brands that you trust.
Yep. And you know what to look for, and it becomes just just what you do.
Yeah. I think we should clarify this too, because I think this is something that, like, I have people who come to me who just want to lose weight. They don't care about their health. They don't care about anything else. They just want to look good. Calories in, calories out. Go do your thing. If you want to change your health, you want to feel better, you want to feel like sleeping better, moving better, less bloating, all of these things, you have to read ingredients, because it is the reason you don't feel good.
Agreed.
Unfortunately.
100%.
Yeah. I hate that it's true, but it's true. I remember, when we switched from the standard American diet to the paleo diet, and that's all I did was read ingredients, because that's just a whole foods. Like, I didn't really actually eat packaged foods during that first year, because it was just get in whole foods as much as you can. Don't eat any of the packaged ingredients. And then I realized, like, it's taking so long to make mayo and to make condiments and to make spices and all. And I was spending all this time.
Wow, you made your own mayo.
I made
that everything
from scratch.
That is next level commitment.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it worked for the season. Then, so this was like, 15 years ago. And then paleo became a thing. And these companies started making paleo approved foods. Whole food, like, what's the Whole 30? Anything that had the Whole 30 stamp on it, we could eat. And so I was like, oh, this is so much better because I can eat these things. So when I did put like processed foods back in, they had to have the Whole 30 label, or I had to read them or see if they had the paleo label, because that helped me to know, like, it's not going to have gluten or dairy or sugar or any of the things that hurt my body.
Yeah. Inflammatory
so it was
ingredients.
Easy for me to read that label, like Whole 30, because I knew it fit my personal need. Now, my husband, he could have certain things, so he didn't necessarily have to have the Whole 30, but because I'm doing it, my whole house is doing it.
Facts.
So when it comes to like label reading, people are like, well, how do I know what I can have and what I can't have? Because there's so much. The less ingredients, the better, right? I always say like 100 calories sells a whole lot better than like a billion ingredients. So if you're eating like 100 calorie pack of cookies or whatever, it's got a ridiculous amount of ingredients that, like, most people know they shouldn't be having them. Where like if you're reading an ingredient, it has like 5 ingredients, those are going to be probably better for you than like, something with 30 different things that you can't pronounce the name of it.
Absolutely. I actually, for first timers that are like, for the first time ever, starting to look at
just nutrition
facts labels and what's in their food, I tell them gravitate towards 10 ingredients or less. Start there, right? Because that's a respectable, kind of like, I think, easier to find things.
Right.
And then try to make sure that most of those ingredients, like, you know what they are. You don't need to pull out Google or ask Siri or Alexa or whatever what that ingredient is. And obviously, too, like when you're shopping the perimeter of the grocery store, you are going to be finding single ingredient foods that you pick up an apple and the ingredient is apple.
Yeah.
Like, so
that's it.
Also, that's a good way to improve the quality of your diet. But agreed, when looking, you have to read the label and you need to read the ingredient list. Ingredients, make sure you know like what they are as much as possible, and then minimal ingredients list. So it also too, they're listed in order of how much of each that product contains. So if the first ingredient is sugar, you know that the majority of that food product is sugar, right?
That is true. Some people are like, is that true? It is true.
That is true. Absolutely. It's listed in descending order of least or most to least. As far as, you know, how much. And so usually a lot of times they'll tell you like less than 2% of, so that's kind of considered like trace, like there's not much of it at all.
Yeah. I think anything less than 1%, it doesn't matter the order in which they put it on the label. It just...
Right. So once you get to that point, and you will see in something that has more ingredients, you'll see those primary ones are always listed at the top, and then it'll say something. I think it's like less than 1% they put, right?
Yeah.
Or
I think
is
so.
it also whatever. It doesn't matter. It'll say less than, 1%, and it's minimal. Still be mindful of that, right? Like if like it says cocaine, maybe. Okay. I don't know why I just said that, because
I mean, Coke used to.
That's true.
I
have yet to find a packaged food product. But
if it's not regulated by the FDA, you just never know.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So read your ingredients list. Now, I think the nutrition facts label is where it gets a little more tricky for people, because they're kind of like, I don't even know what to focus on. None of this makes sense to me. First things first, it's based off of a 2,000 calorie diet. So your needs may be more or less, depending on your physiology, depending on your activity levels.
Or your goal.
And your goal. So when you look and it's like, oh, it's only... 10% of my carbohydrate intake. Well, that's based on a 2,000 calorie a day diet. Like, what are your goals? What are your needs? But again, don't get too caught up in that, because that can get like really overwhelming quick.
Right.
But that's what those percentages and parameters are. What do you like to tell your clients to focus on when it comes to the nutrition facts label?
So I say, if you're going to eat anything that has a label, the first thing to look at is the ingredients. Don't care about the calories, don't care about the macro count, whatever, because you could have something with excellent calories and excellent macro count, and it's all fake chemical processed foods. Agreed. That are going to destroy your gut.
100%.
So I always say, read the ingredients first. We want to be very mindful that what you're eating has actual nutritional value. So if you're going to use the nutrient facts, look at what vitamins is it giving you? What kind of nutrients is this actually going to give your body? And you want to, for me, I'm like, eat whole foods as often as possible. So if it has some real actual ingredients, that's what you want to get. So if you're going to eat bars, have them have dates or, whey protein or pea protein, whatever you're putting in that bar, like have it have actual real
nuts and
foods,
seeds,
nuts and seeds,
nut butters,
and chia.
honey. Chia, hemp seeds, that kind of thing. Quinoa.
So you want to focus on like, if I'm going to eat something, it needs to have as much real food in it as possible.
Kind bars are a good one for that. A little bit higher in the added sugars, but like you can see the actual foods.
We like the RX bars that have like real eggs and
like
real
4
nuts
ingredients
and
or whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, you can eat whatever you want as long as you're paying attention to like the actual ingredients. There are things that I say avoid as often as possible, and it's like high fructose corn syrup. You don't need that in your life.
No, you don't.
And food marketing has gotten really clever with hiding it. They've renamed it several times. So you need to kind of look and see like what are some of those different names. Sometimes it's just like HFCS, so that you don't know it's high fructose corn syrup. And there's lots of different like sugar alcohols that they've renamed so that you don't know that it's like a chemical fructose syrup. And so, paying attention to that. I know this one's a controversial one right now, because people are like, well, is it true? Is it not true? Do I really need to do that? Do I not? Seed oils make a difference. Like if you're eating chips that are just canola oil, or vegetable oil. Like you can find chips and stuff that have better oils that actually give you some nutritional value, like avocado oil,
yeah.
right? Siete has avocado oil or coconut oil.
Extra virgin olive oil.
Right. You can switch to some of these that have a better option. So, while I'm not like seed oils are causing all of the problems in your life, if you just get rid of seed oils, you'll be fine. I do believe there is some truth to that. Like seed oils do have some, but that's a whole different discussion. You can find foods that have ingredients that have nutritional value. If you go into it thinking like, I'm not avoiding this because I'm scared of it, I'm avoiding this because I want more nutritional value in my life, you can find foods with better ingredients. My dad works for a snack food company. And so it's funny walking around grocery stores with him and learning like some of those marketing scams.
Strategies. Yeah.
Like if I put a picture of a farm on the bag and make the colors of the bag this way, people will look at that bag and be like, that looks different than that shiny, colorful bag. This must be healthier.
Yeah.
And so they will put the foods in those specific bags, or put a chicken on a free range chicken on the egg carton, because then your brain sees that one and it's like, well, that chicken looks happy. I'm going to pick that one rather than this plastic one. Or if I put it in a styrofoam container versus a plastic container or whatever. So food marketing strategies are real, and they are clever, and they are trying to get you.
Even with kids, using the bright colors and the fancy characters and everything, the kids are like, oh, I want this. Like their brains are attracted to that.
Can I tell you how excited I was? Because now my kids have been raised with me as their mom, who was like, you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't have this because X, Y, and Z. They wanted those like juices with the fancy lids, like the character lids.
What are those called? Like belly washers or something?
I don't even know.
Oh, they're
good and
not
something.
Good.
Whatever. So like, I remember people would like give it to them, like, oh, it's just juice. And I'm like, all right, so let me look. And I think most of them are pretty good. But anyway, I would take them and I would dump the juice or cut the juice with water and then give it back to them, because they still had a character head. And so like, I would keep the bottles and fill them with water or like whatever, because they got a character. I cannot tell you how happy I was when one time I walked into the grocery store and there was little mini water bottles with characters on them.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And I like got them off the shelf and I'm like, here you guys go, like characters on your water bottles. And then there was a bag of like lettuce that had, I don't even remember what the character was, but it had a character on a bag of like coleslaw or lettuce or something. And my son was like, I want that one. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, look at the food marketing now changing and putting their characters and their bright stuff on like healthy food options.
That's great.
Like all for it. But it really did make the kids like excited that they were having something different because they saw this. So I'm a fan of more health food companies doing that. But hearing my dad talk about like, if they add the word nature, or they add the word farm fresh or pasture raised, like whatever it is, it's going to draw their eye to that thing, and they're automatically going to assume that's healthy without ever flipping the bag over and reading the ingredients. So you could get the same chip from somewhere else, but they put it in this bag, and you in your brain think you're having something healthier.
Yeah, making a better choice.
Yeah. And so hearing him talk about the food marketing really opened my eyes to like, I read ingredients of everything.
Absolutely.
And I tell people like, find your brands so that you make this easier on you. Find the brands that you trust. Like my family, we are Siete Foods, Primal Kitchen, Sir Kensington's. Like those are our go-to brands. Chomp Sticks, because I know and I can trust them. Well, those brands are being bought out by PepsiCo or Kraft. So I still now have to go read those ingredients. Even though they're mostly haven't changed, I still have to read the ingredients on them. So like you still have to pay attention.
Yeah, you got to do your due diligence.
Mm-hmm. There's like
an informed consumer.
Yeah, like Rayo's tomato sauce in the jar. They changed and added they added some stuff to it that's not the same ingredients that it used to be. And I was like, well, now I have to go find my new brand.
Spaghetti sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, just paying attention to like find those brands. It does make it easier, but also like be aware that they're getting bought out by bigger companies, and then ingredients can change. Even just sourcing can change. So, paying attention to that. But also not getting tricked by the food marketing things. Like, I think eggs are a big one right now that people are like, which eggs do I buy? Because I don't know. Are they free range? Are they farm fresh? Are they happy chickens? Are they sad chickens? I mean, we're in Delaware. We see those chickens on the trucks all the time, right?
Yeah.
So like cage free doesn't mean that they're not in a cage. Cage free means
that they're in a chicken house and they don't have to stay in a cage.
Right. They're not in individual cages.
They may never see the light of day.
Right. And then like farm or free range means that they're in like a house that maybe has some doors that maybe some of them can escape sometimes, but like not all of them ever see the light of day. It just means that they have that option if they can figure out how to get there. So free range, they get a little bit of outside time, but it's not like regulated. They have to all have this. It's like some of them can get out there. And then pasture raised, they get outside time. Like they actually, all of them get to forage for food and like run around, and like those are your happier chickens. You know, you just it's like reading those egg cartons can sometimes be so overwhelming because you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm just going to get the one with the happy little chicken on it. And that one looks fine to me. And then I'm trying to think of like, what are the other labels that we see? Non-GMO.
Yeah. Non-GMO, organic, no artificial sweeteners, no artificial colors.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think that non-GMO means that it's chemical free.
Yeah, it just means that the seeds have just not been genetically modified.
Right, but they can still be sprayed with pesticides and things like that.
Yeah, if you want to look for something that does not have any pesticide exposure, you're going to want to look for the organic label.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like organic is really the only one that I'm like, that one kind of holds some value. Yeah, as far as like getting the chemicals and the pesticides like not on them because they're not allowed to use certain things. But like non-GMO, I don't know that not eating a non-GMO carrot versus a I just feel like that label for me doesn't really hold a whole lot of weight.
No, I don't stress out about the GMOs.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe in 20 years they're going to come out and say like, this is not good. But I mean, the GMO thing was about making the plants pest resistant and drought and like it just environmentally hardier, like resistant to droughts and extreme temperatures, so that we can have more food crops in our food system. Mm-hmm. More crops feeding a nation. So I think there's benefits there, but I'm not sure that you need to avoid all of that. I think a
lot of them too are environmental. So like they're not necessarily better products for human consumption, but they're better for the environment. You know, like what are we putting on them? Is that running down into the streams, into our drinking water? Is that better for the farmers that are on the farm spraying the things or not spraying the things? So like some of those labels are environmental, caring for the eggs, you know, caring for the chickens, caring for the cows. Like how is that different? You know, so not all of them. I think that people think like, oh, I'm going to eat these things and it's better for my body. It's not always about being better for your body, but sometimes it's about better animal care and better,
more humane animal practices and what's good for the environment. Yeah.
So when we buy like meat, we do grass-fed meat.
Same. Yeah. Right? I look for grass-fed beef.
And then for like the chicken and stuff, pasture-raised chicken or whatever, I'm like use my local farmer and know the animals, like know how they farm. That's a privilege. Not everyone has access to that.
Not everybody has that option.
So I do try to tell them like organic is a great option, but again, organic can also contain sugars and things like that. So it's not always necessarily like a health food, right?
Yeah.
It's just a better option for you.
You'll know that you're reducing your pesticide exposure, those heavy metals and the toxins of those pesticides. You're avoiding those, but that doesn't mean that like that granola bar is now a health
right.
Exactly. It can still have 20 grams of sugar in that bar and like little to no fiber. You know, it can be refined carbohydrate. Right. And even then, when it comes to your fruits and vegetables, like there's a lot of research that shows that like an organic banana doesn't really matter so much because you don't eat the banana skin.
Right.
And that the actual fruit of the banana is not like the pesticides aren't getting in there. Now, as far as like the pesticide exposure, like in the soil and runoff water and all of that, that's a whole nother ball game. And I kind of personally feel like, listen, you're going to drive yourself crazy worrying about every little thing. Like do the best you can, make, better choices, make informed choices. More so than stressing, and know that like if the fruit or vegetable has like a peel that you don't eat, I would say save your money and just buy that conventional. You know what I mean? And save maybe the organic stuff for like lettuces and like strawberries, things where you eat the whole thing, right? Yeah. And even if you're like, okay, I can't do that because of budget reasons, whatever.
Right. Reduce your risk by washing them.
Just soak them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Clean them up a little bit. It'll absolutely get whatever's on the outside off and make it a cleaner food product. I love the information that you've provided. I think it's super valuable. And I tell all my clients, like, you have to start with looking and reading the ingredients first and foremost. Before you look at the macro count or anything else, read the ingredients. If it's going to contain a bunch of artificial stuff, let's put it back and pick up another box and look for the ones that
there's so many alternatives,
less ingredients, and ingredients that you read and you know what they are. Focus on that first. And then if it checks those boxes and you're like, okay, like this is like an 8 ingredient processed food, and I know what those ingredients are. Now I'm going to go up to the, because there's the ingredient list and then there's the nutrition facts label, and the ingredients list is always at the bottom. And then you go up to the nutrition facts labels and look at, I say, don't even look at the calories. Look at protein first, fiber content, and then I always say added sugar in that order. You want to look for higher protein, higher fiber, low added sugar. It'll show you like total sugars.
I would say talk about that because I feel like people are like, I can't have any sugar.
Yeah. So there is the sugar that naturally occurs in all whole foods, grains, fruits, vegetables, dairy products. They all contain natural sugars that is not the same as your added, which your added are going to be your maple sugar, your honey, your maple syrup, your honey, your white sugar, your brown sugar. Those are added sugars, and you'll want to keep that lower on the lower end. So look at what is the added sugar content. And then when you look at the fats, ideally look for something that has a good balance of saturated and unsaturated, and picking products that have a lot of like the mono and the poly unsaturated fats. So also when it comes to packaged processed foods, if it's like 1 gram of protein and a ton of carbs and fat, find something else that maybe has a little more balance across the macros. You'll have better blood sugar response and stable blood sugar levels when your snack and your meal contains protein, fiber. That's going to be like your carbs. I say,
especially if there's fats. A good protein fiber ratio.
Absolutely. You're going to have delayed gastric emptying, a longer, slower release of glucose into your bloodstream. It's going to keep you fuller longer, just have better outcomes. So look at the ingredients first. Find the products, the packaged stuff that has fewer ingredients, ingredients that you know and recognize. Although I will say there are vitamins and minerals that are added that are not unhealthy, like tocopherols, which are like your vitamin E's, that are added for freshness as a natural, not unhealthy preservative in foods that the average person, unless they've studied nutrition, is not going to know what that is. Right. So then you might need to do a little Google search real quick to see some of these things, like that's not a chemical. So that's like, a caveat to some of the things that we're saying. So again, you're going to have to spend some time there.
I mean, there's lots of things that you're going to get ingredients like natural flavoring, right? There's like this big thing of like, you can't have anything with natural flavoring. Again, it comes down to sourcing. If you're eating a dyed candy bar with corn syrup and all of this stuff, and it says natural flavors, those natural flavors probably aren't going to be the best natural flavors. If you're eating something like organic that has natural flavors, their sourcing is going to be different. So like, you can't be afraid of every single ingredient. And I fell into this, and that's like that orthorexic lifestyle where you're afraid to eat anything, sometimes even drink water, because you're like, is it tap water? Is it well water? Is it like, I don't even know.
Filtered?
Right. Yeah. You could drive yourself absolutely bonkers.
You totally can.
With it. So you have to really look at ingredients as, is it nourishing my body? Is there anything in here that I am allergic to, or that is going to send me into a flare up or give me a rash or make me bloated? When you know which ingredients harm you, take those out. That's not a rule for everyone, because not like you can eat whatever you want.
I cannot. Goat of this.
Yes, I can
literally have the stomach of a goat. Can eat trash. I'm fine. However, with that being said, though, like we actually just discussed this like privately. We're talking about like it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah,
like it's a blessing because I can handle anything. Whatever. It's a curse because I can handle anything.
Right. So you kind of have to look at the ingredients of like I know I'm going to stick with those paleo or whole food labels when it comes to stuff, because I just automatically know if it's those things, it doesn't have gluten, it doesn't have dairy. I can't have those
You
things.
trust
or soy.
those labels.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, that works for me. That doesn't work for everyone. But like, you know, like if you're buying your kids cereal and it has high fructose corn syrup and red dyes and blue dyes and all of these dyes and natural flavors and preserves, like, you know, you've got to clean that up. Like, don't give that to your kids. That's not for kids. Humans shouldn't be eating that stuff. And there's so many alternatives that you can get them cereal that they like that doesn't have all of that junk in it. And so you really just look at the processed foods, and if you can't read any of the ingredients because it's like these names that are 100 syllables long, like,
yeah, lots of chemicals.
It's probably not for you.
Steer clear. Try to find a better alternative with fewer ingredients, ingredients that you can read and know.
Yeah, but also like be aware that marketing health food has become very marketable. And so if I can make it look healthy with the color of the bag, the color of the product, the color of the packaging,
the logo on it,
if I can make it look healthy, it doesn't mean that it is healthy. And so you still have to read it. And you know the difference between a dessert and a health food bar. Like if your protein bar is tasting like a candy bar all of the time, it's probably not the healthiest option. Like
it's probably not, right?
Maybe rotate that in with, like, even me, like I've cut back on like protein shakes because I'm like, I'm drinking this and then I'm still hungry, or like I'm drinking this and not really paying attention. Like I have to get in whole foods first.
I was going to say it's meant to be a supplement, not a staple.
Right. It's a quick on the grab go when I need it.
Yes, exactly, when it's convenient, but it should never be the foundation or the basis. Like when my client tells me like, oh, well, I have this like protein shake every single day. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Let's evaluate some other options that like this becomes a supplement, not a staple.
Yeah. And so, you know, the first thing you should be doing is eating single ingredient whole foods that you can make at home, or you can, you know, even we just got a Sprouts in Middletown and they have like on the go meals that you can just grab, and it's whole food ingredients.
Foods that are like single ingredients. Like, I mean, for salad, like bagged lettuce, like grab that, make your life easier, save yourself the trouble of having to chop up the lettuce. Or, I mean, that's actually what I do most of the time is I buy the, like, this comes in like the plastic containers, like the organic blends, the salad blends. And I'm like, okay, should I maybe buy it in this plastic container? You know, probably not, but it's convenient, saves me a lot of time.
Yeah. And it's getting you whole foods.
And it's giving me whole foods.
Versus like stopping and grabbing fast food.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, we could talk all day about specific ingredients. There's some that I avoid, but it's mostly for autoimmune disease. So I don't think it would be beneficial in this conversation for everything, for everyone. But we'll have later discussions on more ingredients and which ones we eat or avoid for specific reasons. But I think that the most important thing is read the ingredients first, not the calories first. That's one of the biggest mistakes that people can make, is being like, well, I only had 100 calories. Well, you didn't get any nutritional value from it because it's all chemicals. So read those ingredients first and then pay attention to the protein and the macros in it, and try to avoid things that you really don't know what they mean. I really like, if you are struggling and you like just don't have the time, there are some apps that you can use, like Yucca, where you can scan the food and see like what is the rating and what are the ingredients, and they'll go into detail on like what those are. I know there's a bunch of different apps. Do you have any specific ones that you use?
Utilize the technology to help you.
Yeah, I know.
I could have used that 10 years ago when I started my journey of reading labels. That would have been great.
Yeah. So I know.
It's here for you now, though. So literally, no excuses.
No excuses.
You can scan it in your
and
app.
you can literally just like scan your meal and it tells you like.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Hopefully this was helpful.
Thanks for spending your time with us. If you found this podcast helpful, we would love for you to share it with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform. If you have nutrition or fitness questions you want answered on future episodes, we would love to hear from you. You can submit these questions to our email, thenutritionrevolutionpodcast@gmail.com, and follow us on Instagram @thenutritionrevolutionpodcast.